Hi there, my name's Neill. I'm an English-speaking cognitive behavioural therapist based here in Madrid, and I'd just like to talk about what I consider to be one of the major problems of living in this mad modern market society that we've created between all of us. I like to call this internal experiential avoidance. What I mean by that is an attempt to control the intensity, form or frequency of internal experiences. That's to say thoughts, feelings, emotions, and of course memories. All of these become entangled in our cognition and interact with and on each other. And an emotion will create a thought, and due to language, a thought or a memory will create an emotion. We are animals that use symbolism. We can mark a trap with a stone, and we can tell each other that stone means there's a trap there. Amazingly, and we take this for granted, they will understand us. An animal could never understand the symbolic meaning of that stone. Okay, language, and I include thoughts and memories, are basically symbolic representations of stuff. They're not real, but the thought of having a cool beer on a warm day can provoke the beer experience. If I think about it hard, I can really imagine that cold beer. I can even begin to have the beer experience. My mouth will water as my body prepares itself in expectation of that cold beer. But of course, it's just a thought, and my mind and my body are confusing the thought with the thing. Language is great. It allows us to evaluate, predict, and avoid events. It works great in the outside world. But when we begin to use the same tactics in our inner world, things become more complicated. The cognitive processes involved in escaping a tiger or escaping from the urge to use drugs are similar. The same as predicting a shortage of food uses the same processes as predicting a panic attack or a stormy meeting with your boss. All these situations create a response that we call anxiety. This has an enormous physiological effect on our body as we go into fight or flight mode. Easy to see how that will be helpful when we have to escape a tiger or find the energy to go out and forage for food. But how can we relieve the anxiety created by the urge to use drugs or the anxiety of a meeting with a very demanding boss? Anxiety and fear are some of those things that we have learned to avoid, or pretend they don't exist, or pretend that at least they don't affect us. We receive very clear messages about the appropriateness of certain feelings and certain thoughts. This is where the trouble can begin. As we try to control the uncontrollable, we begin to compare thoughts and emotions, and we use our language to label them and give them values. Feeling good is better than feeling bad. Joy is better than anger. In fact, what I learned as a child, anger and any expressing of it is completely unacceptable. This then becomes a requirement for living. We convince ourselves that we should only think good thoughts or feel positive emotions. Those of you who have ever tried not to think about a red ball or tried to fall in love with the first person you bump into onto the street will have experienced the futility of the exercise. It's a complete paradox. The more you try not to have a negative emotion or think a negative thought, the more present it becomes in your everyday life, until life just becomes a meaningless attempt to avoid these thoughts and feelings. And this, of course, ultimately leads people away from what is important.